Hello everyone, welcome to Talent Battle. In this video, we will look at previously asked technical MCQs in Goldman Sachs. But before proceeding, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get latest updates related to all placement activities. Alright, so let us look at first question now. Name of the question is evaluate sum. Problem statement is consider the following pseudocode where x is an integer variable initialized to a non-negative integer value. And this pseudocode is given where x is our non-negative integer, then one variable int sum is taken. After that x is equal to x divided by 2, for loop is taken, then for sum is equal to 1, x is greater than 0, x is equal to x divided by 2, sum is equal to sum plus 1. So we are just incrementing the sum by 1 and we are exiting from the loop after that. And the question which is asked is which of the following will calculate same value of sum as the fragment above. Alright, and then there are 4 choices given. This is first choice and these are rest of the choices. Okay, so in this case you have to analyze the given code snippet. Okay, what they have done, they have first divided this x value in half, that is x divided by 2, and within this for loop also at every iteration they are reducing this x value by half, x is equal to x by 2, and at every iteration they are incrementing the sum value by 1, and initially sum is initialized to 1. Okay, now in this case best way to solve this problem is just eliminate options. So if you look at first option, in this option while loop is taken and condition for loop is x is greater than or equal to 0, and they are just dividing x by half. Now we know if x is greater than or equal to 0, this loop becomes infinite loop because x value will never go less than 0. After becoming 0, if we divided 0 by 2, it will become 0 again, and this will go in infinite loop. So this is definitely not the right option. In the similar way, in the second option, there also while x is greater than or equal to 0 condition is given for while loop. So that is why this option is also eliminated. Then look at this third and fourth option. The difference between these two options is in third option here sum is initialized to 0, and in fourth option sum is initialized to 1, and that x is equal to x divided by 2. This particular statement is inside this do while loop in both the cases. So if we see in our original code snippet, here x is equal to x divided by 2 statement is written outside for loop. Now if we have to include this statement within loop itself, then the total iterations for this for loop will increment by 1. Okay, then in that case we have to initialize sum to 1 less than what is originally initialized. Now here sum is initialized to 1, but as we will have one more iteration if we include this x is equal to x divided by 2 inside our loop, so in that case we have to initialize sum to 1 less value than the original assigned, so 1 minus 1 will become 0, and that is why sum should be initialized to 0. And within this third and fourth option, in third option sum is initialized to 0, so that is why this is the right answer. Now even if you don't understand what exactly is the meaning of this particular given code snippet, or what exactly will be the output from all the options given, the best way to solve these kind of problems is take a example value. For example, in this case consider some value for x. Suppose x is initialized to 10 in this case, and then manually solve all these statements and see what will be the value of this particular x variable after end of all these iteration, and similarly calculate that x value for all the remaining options as well. The key thing here is you have to be conscious about the time you have in your hand. At the same time, don't take these sample input values too big or too small. Okay, so don't take this particular value, suppose say 1000. It will require you too much time to solve the problem for this value 1000. So take values which you can solve manually in very quick. Name of the question is main function return. One program is given and we have to find out what will be the returning value from this main function. Okay, so in this main function initially int a is initialized to 3 and int b is initialized to 3, and this function f is called, where a is passed by reference and value of b is passed. Now in this f function we are first decrementing the value of b by 1, and after that if b is equal to 0 we are returning 1. In else part, we are incrementing the value at a address by 1, and again we are calling this function multiplied by value at this address a. Alright, so in this case, whenever these kind of recursive calls are made, it is always suggested to draw a stack and put these function frames in this stack. So for example, when the first time a call to this f function would be made, at that time a's value will be 3 and b's value will also be 3. Okay, after making this particular call, it came into this particular f function, then we have decremented the value of b by 1, so value of b will now become 2. Now this if condition is not satisfied here, b is not equal to 0, so that is why we will execute this next statement, that is star a is equal to star a plus 1. So the value at a's address will be increased by 1, so value of a will now become 4. And after that we are again calling this recursive function, that is function ab. So now during this call the value of a is 4 and value of b is 2. So in this next function call, now again value of b will be decremented by 1, so value of b will now become 2 minus 1, that is 1. Again, if this condition is not satisfied yet, after that we are increasing the value at a's address by 1. Okay, so value at a's address will now become 4 plus 1, that is 5. So in this particular recursive function call, the values we will be passing will be 5 and 1. Now again, in next recursive call, value of b is decremented by 1. So originally value of b for this particular function is 1. When we will decrease it by 1, it will become 0. So this particular condition will get satisfied now. So when b is equal to 0, we are returning 1. So from this particular function call, we are returning 1 to previous function call. Okay. So for earlier function, here this one value will get received, and that this one is multiplied by the value at a's address. Now this value we know is 5 currently, so that will be 1 into 5, that is 5. So from this particular function call, 5 will be returned to earlier function. So in earlier function, 5 value will be received here, and after that this particular value is again multiplied by value at address of a. Again we know this particular value is 5 also, so 5 into 5 will become 25. So this particular function call will return 25 to its earlier function. Now earlier function to this is main itself, so main function will receive the value as 25. Okay, so this particular here 25 value will be received, and this main function will return 25. So b will be our right answer. Name of question is relational database. Problem statement is a relational database contains two tables, person details and movie watched, as shown below, and we have given some data here. Question that is asked is the primary key of person details table is id. For movie watched, id and language together form the primary key. Consider the SQL query given below. So the SQL query that is given is select p.name sum of m.number of movies from person details p movie watched m, where m.number of movies is greater than 5 and group by p.name. And question is how many number of rows will the above query return, and 5 options are given for us. So just by looking at this particular query, we know that the last clause used in this query is group by clause. In this particular query, we are selecting columns from two different tables, that is person details and movie watched. So whenever such query is used without using join, so we know a Cartesian product will be returned in the output. Okay, so within that Cartesian product, what will happen, that all the rows will be divided in groups according to name. So if suppose name Prasad has 5 rows, then all these rows will be combined into one, and sum of all the number of movies in those 5 rows will be combined, and those will be added because of this sum aggregate function here. So as there are 5 names in our person details table, the final Cartesian product output will also be divided in 5 groups, and that is why the number of rows in our final output will have 5 rows. Okay, so 5 will be the right answer in this particular case. Next question is adjacency matrix. Given the following program, what will be the fourth number that would get printed in output sequence for the given input? Okay, so there is one program given. This program, as you can see, it is in C++ language. This is the first part of program, and after that this function method is also present, and this is the input sequence. And for this input sequence, what will be the fourth value in our output, that number we have to print, and these 5 options are given. Okay, so let us first understand this particular code. So first of all, we have taken this variable cur. Let me call this as current. It is initialized to 0. After that, we have taken matrix of 12 by 12 size. After that, we have taken a boolean array of 12 size, and name of the array is visited. And we have taken this one deck of integers, and it is named as q. After that, we have declared this function method, and in this main method we are first of all taking the input for this n value. After taking this input for n, we are iterating these 2 loops for int I is equal to 0, I is less than n, and for int j is equal to 0, j is less than n, and we are just taking the input for all the matrix values, this particular matrix 2-dimensional array. We are taking input for this matrix. After taking input for matrix 2D array, we are just initializing all the values in our visited boolean array. This particular visited boolean array, all the values are being initialized to false, and after that we are just calling this function method with value of n passed as parameter. Alright, so let us turn our focus to this function method now. While calling this function method, n value is whatever will be the input given by user, and the value of this particular variable, that is cur current, that value is still initialized to 0. We have never changed that value in main function. Okay, so we have called the function method now. It is always important to understand what is the meaning of the code given instead of just manually solving for each and every statement. So just by overlooking this particular function, you should understand that in this particular do while loop, we are iterating through all the columns. Here we are iterating through all the columns for the given row, that is the row pointed by this current value, and whenever that position has value as 1 and it is already not visited, that is that column is already not visited, we are pushing that column index in our queue and we are printing that column index. Okay, so this thing you should understand by looking at code. So once you understand this, you can quickly analyze that initially the current value is 0. Okay, so what are the rows, so what are the columns in 0th row which has value as 1? So you will quickly understand that column at 3 index and column at 10 index are 1. So we will first of all print 3 and 10. After that we will take this particular 3 and look at third row in our input sequence. So this will be third row, and within this third row again we will look for all columns where value of that particular position is 1. So you will find out that this particular column has value as 1, which is the column as 2 index. So you will again have to print 2, and that will be your fourth value, because initially we are anyways printing this current before entering the loop. So 0 will be printed very first, after that 3, after that 10, and the fourth value will be 2. So that is why this 2 is answer. Next question, this is not a technical question, but still let us try to solve it. On a given day, weather can be sunny with probability of 0.4, cloudy with probability of 0.4, or rainy with probability of 0.2. Weather is independent across days. Blocks of weather are groups of consecutive days in which weather is same. Across a 10-day period, what's the expected number of blocks of identical weather? Alright. So question is based on probability. Just to explain this problem in more clarity, suppose on first day we have sunny weather, and this weather continued for 2 days. After that we suppose had a cloudy weather, and this weather continued for 1 day only. After that, suppose we had rainy weather and this continued for 3 days. After that, suppose again we had sunny weather and we had cloudy weather again. This sunny weather continued for 1 day, this cloudy weather continued for 1 day, and after that, suppose again sunny weather came and this sunny weather continued for 2 days. So all these sum of all these days is 10 now. So across 10 days period, how many number of blocks of weather we are getting? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So total 6 blocks of weather we are getting across 10 days period for this particular example. So given the probability of weather being sunny or weather being cloudy and weather being rainy on a particular day, we have to find out what is the expected number of blocks of identical weather. Okay, well, we can think of it in this way. On the first day we have at least one weather block with probability 1. All right, so it is very clear that on very first day we will definitely get a start of a new weather block. On the next day, the probability of the weather changing and giving us another block is something that we have to calculate now. Okay, so suppose on first day weather is sunny, so probability of that is 0.4. After that, weather should change on next day, so probability of weather changing on next day, that is weather either will become cloudy or rainy, probability of that is 0.6. so multiply 0.4 by 0.6. Or suppose weather today is cloudy, again that probability is 0.4 and weather changing on next day will be again 0.6. Or weather today is rainy with probability of 0.2 and weather changing on next day, that probability will be 0.8. all right, so if you calculate all this, the answer of this will be 0.64, and this occurs for n minus 1 days, and thus the expected number of weather blocks for n days is given by 1 plus n minus 1 and our this value 0.64. okay, from where this one initial one came from, that is the probability of starting of a new block of weather on very first day, and that probability is 1. So if you put the value of n as 10 now, because we have to find out total number of weather blocks across 10 days, so we will put n as 10. So 10 minus 1 into 0.64, this becomes 1 plus 9 into 0.64, this becomes 1 plus 5.76, and that is nothing but 6.76. okay, so option B will be our right answer. Across 10 days period, expected number of blocks of identical weather will be 6.76.